Welcome back to Economics. This is Dr. Kling. It so happens we're getting into the part of the course where we talk about game theory, and we have a couple of game theory examples that emerged just recently in terms of politics. One of them involves the Euro crisis, and the two players are Germany and the pigs, which is Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. And the problem for the pigs is that they need money to fund their big deficits. And the problem for Germany is they don't want to have the euro break up. So there's a compromise. So a compromise involves two things. It involves Germany giving short-term funding to the pigs. This compromise is sometimes called a fiscal union because it's as if they're joining together and pooling their money. But so for Germany to do that in a compromise, Germany gets to dictate the fiscal path for the pigs. So they would, using some kind of cover of Eurocrats, some European organization, Germany would get to tell these countries, no, you can't have such generous pensions. Yes, you have to raise your taxes, or whatever that would happen. So they'd have to give up some sovereignty. So the compromise has these two elements. And that's the compromise that all the policy wonks think should happen to get out of the European crisis. And yet apparently it doesn't happen. So the outcome in this case so far has been a stalemate. And so what we want to do is come up with a game theory story to explain the stalemate. Let me give you the second example of a game theory issue, which was a payroll tax cut extension. And the question, I think, here I'm going to make things up because I didn't really follow this closely, but I think the House Republicans, or the Republicans who control the House, let's say they want to pay for it with spending cuts. So they're going to cut payroll taxes but cut spending elsewhere. And the Democrats want to pay for it with taxes on the rich. I'm not sure that this, I think there was a lot more stuff going on. This may not have been going on. This may not be the issue, but there was some issue about what was going to go along with this payroll tax cut or not. There was an oil pipeline approval involved, all sorts of stuff. But let's just, for our purposes, say that what Republicans want to do is use spending cuts to pay for it. The Democrats want to pay for it with taxes on the rich. And so the compromise would be a little of both. Okay, so there's some kind of compromise that allows the payroll tax cut extension to pass, so that would be the compromise outcome. If there's a stalemate, then the thing didn't pass. So in this case, the outcome was the Republicans gave in. Okay, so in the case of the euro, we had a stalemate, and in the case of the payroll tax cut, the Republicans gave in. And so what I want to do is use game theory payoff matrices to speculate about why we got these outcomes. So we can sort of work backwards to guess what the payoff matrices looked like. So a payoff matrix, so you can have, let's say, let's use the Germany pigs one. So Germany cooperates. Actually, let me put that on the right. That's the convention. Okay, so Germany cooperates and Germany refuses. And this is pigs cooperate, pigs refuse. Okay, so all the policy wonks expected to end up here. Let's say that from a political standpoint, the benefits to this are sort of 1 unit for the German political leaders, 1 unit for the. Actually, let me do that in a different color. Hang on. Sorry. Okay, so you have Germany cooperating, refusing. I'm going to give Germany's payoffs. So if Germany cooperates and the pigs cooperate, Germany gets 1. Merkel, the political leader of Germany, gets kind of 1 point. If Germany refuses and the pigs cooperate, then Merkel looks really strong. Germany is really proud, and so Merkel gets 10 units. If they both don't cooperate, politically it's worth -3. Now, economically, this may be a disaster if they both refuse, because eventually the euro could collapse and all sorts of things. So that's why the policy wonks keep thinking that it will end up here, because this is just an economic disaster. But politically, it's only a minor setback for Merkel. On the other hand, if Germany just gives in without getting any control over the pigs' fiscal policy, then that's -10 for Germany. That's a real political. Merkel can't face her voters if that happens. Now let's look at this from the standpoint of, let's say, of the pigs. Okay, so from the pig standpoint, the cooperation is worth 1. So this is pigs payoffs. Okay, again, these are political payoffs to the political leaders of Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. If the pigs cave in and to agree to let Germany run their fiscal policy, but they don't get a fiscal union, they don't get any money, then that's, of course, a total disaster politically. Conversely, if they can get Germany to pay without having to cut their own budgets, that's wonderful for them politically. And finally, if they end up not cooperating at all, so they don't cut their budgets and Germany doesn't bail them out, then that's a -3 politically. So politically, it looks like they'd be better off in the both cooperate area than in the both defect area. But look at where the dominant strategies are. If you're the pigs, and you say, and you know that Germany's going to cooperate, you get 10 points for refusing versus 1 point for cooperating. So that's a 9-point gain. And if you get -3 points for refusing versus -10 for cooperating if Germany refuses. So again, you have a 7-point gain. So there's a dominant strategy to refuse. Okay, so that's the dominant strategy for them. For Germany, if the pigs cooperate, Germany gets a huge gain if they refuse, like 10 versus 1. And they get a big gain if they refuse. Okay, so and if the pigs choose the refuse strategy, the Germans are better off refusing. Again, politically, Merkel's better off. She doesn't want to give up her sovereignty. So the dominant, each one has a dominant strategy to refuse, and so the game ends up here, and we end up in a stalemate, which the policy wonks can't believe that this happens. That they, why can't we all get along? So we end up heading toward the crisis continues, and that's really where we stand today. Okay, now let's switch over to the case of the payroll tax cut, and so we could have Dems refuse to compromise, the Democrats compromise. We have Republicans compromise, and Republicans refuse to compromise. So again, we have the 4 possibilities, and let's do this exactly. Okay, so these will be the Democrats' payoffs in yellow. So we're going to do it exactly like the other one, -3, -10. And now we're going to do the Republicans. Okay, so the difference here, last time if the Republicans compromised, I had a -10 here in this space for the compromise. Here I'm only having a -2, and let's see how that affects the outcome. Okay, the Democrats' dominant strategy. This is exactly the same game from their point of view that we had before. That is, if the Republicans refuse to compromise, then the Democrats will be 7 points better off. Democrats are 7 points better off by refusing. And if the Republicans do compromise, the Democrats are 9 points better off by refusing. So the Democrats' dominant strategy is to refuse. The Republicans, so given that if the Democrats were going to compromise, then the Republicans would be better off refusing. But if the Democrats choose the refuse strategy, the Republicans are actually better off compromising. So the Republicans don't have a dominant strategy. That is, the strategy that's best for them depends on what the Democrats do. If the Democrats compromise, the Republicans should refuse. The Democrats refuse, and the Republicans actually are better off compromising. But the Democrats are going to refuse because they have a dominant strategy. So Dems refuse is a dominant strategy. So they're going to refuse, and then given that they're going to refuse, the Republican strategy is to compromise. Now that really, if the Republicans had known this, they wouldn't have embarrassed themselves by passing a different bill in the first place. So what happened is that Boehner misestimated the game. The Republican leader didn't see that this was the game, and then it turned out that this was the game when all was said and done, that the Republicans, once the Democrats refused to compromise, the Republicans were in a position where they had more to lose by ending up here not compromising than compromising. So he ended up having to compromise, and so politically the Democrats ended up with a win and the Republicans ended up with a loss. Again, because probably had the Republicans seen this game coming, they might have picked a different strategy to begin with. But that's how it came out. And so the main point is to illustrate the way you can use game theory to describe political conflict and to differentiate when the dominant strategies will end up in the conflicting area, and when one side has a dominant strategy and the other doesn't, then one side will typically lose. So that's it.